our non-legislative meeting. Just for clarification, the purpose of a non-legislative meeting is to provide additional time for the Board of Supervisors to review and discuss matters which may result in direction being given to the township staff, and no formal action will be taken this evening. Any matter requiring a formal motion will be brought before the board during its monthly scheduled meeting every fourth Tuesday at 7. Non-legislative meetings are always open to the public with time set aside for public comment. At this time, I would ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the record show that all township supervisors and our solicitor and our township manager are present, along with the chief and the representatives from the fire department, the other chief. Without further ado, I would ask if there are any comments from the public. Yes, sir. I'll just step up front. There's no microphone there, but give everybody a chance to see you or hear you.
Hi, my name is William Zalaridge. I live at 274 Hill Drive. I have a problem with the property next to me. It's a vacant lot. It was previously just sold in, I think, early April. So there's no structure on it. It's just bare land, some trees. My concern is that I sent an email to Scott Heckman on April 27th, 2023 at 11:47 concerning this property, because the new owner started building a permanent auxiliary building.
Shed.
Huh?
Shed.
Yeah, it's a big shed. It's
Big shed.
12 by 12.
Okay.
Obviously, not gonna go over there and take measure. So with the zoning laws of being on Floral Hill Drive, it's an R1 residential thing to maintain the aesthetic of the neighborhood. I'm just wondering why no one got back to me or done a thing concerning this when they're building this structure that under R1 zoning should not be allowed.
Okay, we can answer that question. I'd ask Mr. Stanek to answer the gentleman's question, please.
Sure. So the gentleman in our zoning code, a 60 square foot shed would not necessarily trigger a building permit in any building review. And I apologize that Mr. Heckman did not get back to you. I'll see that he does, and we get you the information you need. So what we have done just recently, it was the gentleman had built a shed before his house, which is not a permitted thing to do per the zoning code. So this is a 60 square foot shed. It's going to be a permanent shed once the house is built. He was building it first to sort of house his tools or house his equipment to build the house that he's going to build his own house and be the general contractor for his own house. So we went ahead and said, stop work order, go ahead and put the roof on so you don't damage the structure, don't damage whatever you have in there to begin with and stop construction. When we finish it, when you get so far along with your foundation of the principal structure and whatnot, go ahead and continue.
I have a problem with that because I had contacted you, Brandon, after the last supervisor meeting, came up to this desk, and I have pictures of when that shed started going up, and it wasn't even that far along. They made it cement. And I want to just preface this with, a year ago, and I still have to do this, I have to replace my shed. And when I came to the township, and I just said, everybody in my neighborhood's like, just put a shed up. They don't care because it's not permanent. And it's grandfathered in. It's in the same place, same thing, everything. I was told you wanted to have a drawing of my yard. You told me that. You wanted me to have
We did. We had a drawing from the gentleman's property.
Right, but the thing is like, I was putting a pre-existing thing. How did you guys not know? And Brandon, you should have. I have the minutes from the August 14, 2017 meeting when Daryl Price and you guys tried to let him put a house that was too big on there. All of the neighbors are opposed to that. It says in these minutes how that property is not normal. It's hard to fit a house onto it. So now you've let somebody come from behind and put a structure in the middle of the property. So now when they go to zoning, because they're probably going to need a variance, you're going to say, well, we let them put a shed up and it's permanent. It shouldn't be allowed. It is, you guys had plenty of time to tell them, you had plenty of notice, and why wasn't anything done about that, Brandon?
Yeah, because what was done was a decision from the building official and zoning officer.
Right, that should have gone in front of the zoning hearing board. Why do we have them?
So that was a compromise with the property owner that didn't understand, we compromised. So.
But you do that with
I'm
everybody?
not gonna sit here and argue.
Well, it's just that,
But there are several different things that we consider when we do enforcement.
okay, because it seems like my neighbors complained because they had grass on the ground that a young neighbor mowed their lawn and had a little bit of grass on the ground. And they got a letter from one of the 3 people we have working in that department. We have 3 people working in that department. He didn't get a response from them. Mike Gomber couldn't be here tonight. He contacted them 4 to 5 times without a response. And we now find out that his whole situation also needed a permit because that didn't even happen until after you guys changed the thing. You said 2018. And so again, another thing you're wrong on. I just don't understand. It's again, you guys keep letting him do more and more instead of stopping the process.
What's the thing?
Well, he keeps going, he makes it sound like, oh, this guy, and he had all the way up. No, by the time I told you, he only had part of it up. You could have stopped him then. You keep allowing him to build it and build it and build it. And now you're saying he can still put a roof on top of it. You don't know if a house is gonna be approved for that property yet.
All right, your point has been made. Thank you very much. Are there other public comments?
And again, just to emphasize, if your board is unhappy with the customer service approach that we take, let us know. We'll readjust.
Thank
Can
you.
I just ask a quick question on that? I'm the wife at
Your
270.
name, state your name, please.
Ashley Zalatovich. So when he goes to get his house variance or whatever, can you guys just say, well, yeah, you can put that wherever you want to, or
Yeah.
are you gonna make him go through the board? Because like it's
He has
very
to go to
important.
planning and zoning.
Okay.
Daryl Price originally owned that property.
Yeah.
He tried to put a house on there and he couldn't do the setback requirement. So he was denied. And this guy has to do the same thing.
Okay.
It's just a shed. He's trying to be part of the community and people want to bitch and moan about that.
Well,
Why is that?
I just want to make sure that.
Why is that?
I just
Tell me.
We just want them to be on top of us.
Yeah, it's.
You're working backwards.
He built a shed to keep equipment in so he could.
Yeah,
build a
they
house.
put it somewhere else now.
All right, enough of that discussion, sir. You're up.
George Rowan, 2288 Flint Drive. I am aware of the issue on Floral Hill regarding the permit, and I want to make you aware that Scott Heckman or one of his crew issued a permit for a fence in our HOA before it was allowed. The HOA board changed the policy weeks after the issue was permitted. 13 days. So the building permit for this fence to go up in the HOA was issued 13 days before the board of the HOA even voted on it to even approve fences. Bob, since you were president, and from your presidency to my presidency, we never allowed fences. And so I even had our attorney write up that we allow privacy fences, and I gave that to the resident that wanted a fence, and now all of a sudden, the same attorney has reversed everything that I had him write up to approve fences, and naturally, so somehow, how did the building permit get approved before it was even voted on with the HOAs? Just something isn't right here. Anyway, the change in this policy may not have been legal, and our community is going to the Pennsylvania Attorney General over what is going on in our development. There is also an issue regarding the township ordinance when it was raised, and how it somehow, and that it somehow changed. Why are permits being issued when they are not allowed? How many people work in this department? Are they new? Do they understand their jobs? I have concerns. I was also elected as the auditor of South Sabine, but we have never been allowed to audit the township, only to give Russ Greco a raise, and that was without the full information. As I had asked for it as I have told you before, I asked for information and I didn't get it until the day after the meeting, and I had to make decisions without the information. I am asking tonight for you to do a forensic audit on the township before the current manager leaves. With all the questions on our finances, it is your duty to do this. I would also ask that when picking someone to do the outside of the audit, outside the area, and who has a reputation for understanding what they are looking for, clearly our current firm has missed several things, and some have just been ignored. I have been told there are 2 negative escrow accounts for both Meadows Landing and Champion Church, and it looks like general bills were paid out of the Manifold Road Pump Station Project account. If residents are catching this, why hasn't anyone else? As an auditor, I would love the opportunity to actually audit the township, but that can't be done without your approval. When I asked for Russ's information, it took 2 months to get it, and the day I needed it, I got it the day after I needed it. Also, with the new manager being hired, I don't believe the township should be making big decisions. Don't bind them to something that may not think is a good idea. Everything should be put on hold, including a moratorium on development. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public comments, sir?
Couple quick questions. My name's Dale Flowers, 2210 Shawnee Drive. Can someone tell me what the side setbacks are for the property?
Very percentage.
Okay, or what? I'm trying to find the
No, give me the-
Go on with your comments while he's looking it
Yes,
up.
if a project, an accessory structure does not meet these side setbacks requirement, does it not need to go through the zoning commission for variance to be approved for a building permit issue?
No, I said you were right. That's it.
Okay, well,
So I'm not sure what you're.
the fence is the one that George was talking about. There was a fence built in our community. It has no setback. It's built directly on the property line. And according to 245-9, a fence is an accessory structure which requires a setback according to the site plan on the building permit request.
I was with one of our zoning guys, or enforcement guys the other day, and he said the fence goes on the property line. It does not require a setback.
Okay.
And I was just wording them out.
I know, but it says in the 20, like I said, 245-9, that a fence is an accessory structure and requires a setback.
Right. I've read like farm fences, don't require a setback.
I'm talking a perimeter fence. Now, obviously, if it's a fence around your garden or a fence your dog runs around in, that's a different ballgame.
Or like cattle fences, things like that. I guess.
But his opinion to me the other day was a perimeter fence should be on the property line. No setback. He said it should be on the line because it's a fence.
The fence, like it says here, is an accessory structure which requires a setback.
Well, again, I think we're nitpicking between a perimeter fence and a
Not.
dog fence or
Okay.
a garden
Regular
fence.
meeting,
Well,
you come here asking for technical information, that takes time to go back, look through.
Right, yeah, I
To
tried to.
make sure that we can get it to you correctly.
Okay,
You want stuff up, maybe Monday.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, when we wrote the fence requirement, because I'm on the HOA board, we wrote it with the setback in mind, that a setback existed for fences, so they wouldn't be put on the property line. And then the fence suddenly appears on the property line.
That's
All right, well, why don't you convince Brandon, we'll get you an answer to your
We
question.
approved the fence, but also in there it says it has to go through the zoning commission to get a variance. It didn't do that. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Bull.
Fulton, 52 South P Street. Good evening, everyone. I'm not exactly sure why we're having another meeting without significant notice to the public. Residents have expressed for over a year they would like to know what is going on. We are also in the process of hiring new managers. Should anything be done before they are hired? Can't this wait? You shouldn't make a change at this point. That may limit the new manager in the future. Why the rush? Again, very similar to the fire truck. Why the rush? Although I have concerns over what is on tonight's agenda, since I'm not sure what it is exactly, I hope you allow us to participate during your discussion. I know Chairman Burns has been good about that, and I truly appreciate how he treats the public. Again, thank you, Bracken. As you start the hunt for the new manager, please look for someone that plans to stay here long-term and not use the stepping stone as a resume builder. John Stickle put 26 years into South Trevane and saw us through a lot of changes. In the last 7 years, we have had higher taxes and development that has not been beneficial to the community. Developers have been allowed to do things and make demands. Why? We are the keystone of Western Pennsylvania and act like we are desperate. We need someone who will listen to and care about the residents and wants to maintain South Trevane, not change it to their desires. I want to ask this board to do one thing and to do it soon. Have a forensic audit done in the township before the manager leaves. With all the issues involving finances, I would hope that you would understand the severity of things. And this isn't just for the township's protection, it's for yours. Do you realize that all of you could be surcharged? The $35,000 that was paid as a penalty after the manager told you in September that he was paying the pensions and that we had enough money for the fire truck. Who is paying for that? I hope not the township or our insurance. Are you aware that you were warned several years by the state to watch about how and when he was paying the pensions because they were not being done correctly? There has been a lack of oversight regarding township management. I don't blame all of you because I am aware that you were not all given the same information, hence the example tonight of the fire truck purchase. I'm not aware of a lot of things until the last minute. You have also allowed your solicitor to be kept in the dark, referring back to that same September meeting when both the supervisor and the solicitor told you they were given the information right before the meeting. And this was done over $1.2 million fire truck. Where has the oversight been? You were warned by the state on every audit in the last 6 years that things were not being done correctly. This is from the 2019-20 audit done in 21. The municipality did not deposit its 2019 and 2020 state aid allocations into eligible pension plan within the 30-day grace period allowed by Act 205. It does go on to give the details and the state that the plan officials weren't aware. We were warned that this could happen. Management agreed with the findings. They also have giving you other warnings and let you know that they're responsible to oversee this. I ask again, who is going to be paying the $35,000? And we don't even know how much it was for the other pension funds. And remember, weren't the checks written? I remember at a supervisors meeting, one of the supervisors bringing up that the checks were written. Why were they never sent? Our manager has told people he could put anything in front of you and it will be rubber stamped. We have caught him in lies stated at meetings as simple as claiming Ouija didn't respond to him. I told you months ago, I have the emails to prove what the manager did. The lack of oversight has cost this township enough. You need to not allow any big decisions or any that don't need to be made before you hire a new manager. Access to accounts should be limited. Are you aware of the negative escrow accounts for both Champion Church and the Meadows Landing? Have you seen the bills paid through those? The numbers just don't make sense. get an audit done with someone outside of the area who has experience in forensic audits of municipalities. You have a solicitor who has cleaned up messes before, at least that's what the newspaper said. Maybe you should talk to him. And Brandon, it's in your best interest to have this audit done too. Mr. Lukasich, the comments you made earlier after what happened at Pancake, unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Stop coming to the meeting and making negative comments about the township, about the firemen. And that's what you've been doing.
Well, he got way more votes than you did, Rich, this morning, correct?
Well,
You
God
should have
bless
stopped him.
America.
Judy Panassi, Green Crescent Drive, that's right, but Mr. Burns has asked people to be civil before, Rich, and I would hope that you did not have the right, and you guys are not supposed to address the public, and you should know better. Maybe if you would have done what you were supposed to, what you ran on, we wouldn't be where we're at. I just wanna say, and I wanna.
Why don't you run?
I don't wanna run. I try to get good people in, but I clearly make mistakes.
You just want to come here
But
and make
anyway,
negative comments.
Bracken, is he?
You mean call you out on your bullshit? That's what you mean.
All right. 2.5 minutes now, Judy.
Thanks, Mark.
Get
I
back to your
just want
recommendation.
to say real quick, make a point regarding the property. If you have a schematic of the property, and I have the one that our family had done over 30 some years ago, it has our house on it or shed on it where the fences were. So if you guys had that drawing from that guy when he brought it to you, it shouldn't have had any houses on it. You should have known there was no house. You should have known it was in an R1. So if he showed you a schematic of the property, where was the house on it, or did he lie?
Are we talking about these three guys?
Yes, we're talking about on 260 Floral Hill Drive. He said that he had to give him what he told me he wanted from me to just replace my shed. He said he had to produce it for him. If he produced it for him, either the person lied and had a fake house on it, because he stayed at night, they didn't know there was no house.
But what we need to see is.
I just know the truth.
I'm gonna speak now.
Okay,
So what we need to see when things come in is where you're gonna put it. And do we have dimensions from the side yard setbacks and rear yard setbacks? That's what I was asking for. But if you're
But-
putting it in the same place, just show us what we've done.
but you said you wanted a survey. A survey shows all of the houses and all the
And
structures
guess
on the
what?
property.
Our
He did-
team
he
now
put-
is talking about putting that in the, or enforcing that in the
But-
code. That is a code requirement.
But then why did you ask him for it if it's not a code requirement? I'm just confused.
Well, I was hoping you would look for it if you didn't have it.
I do have it.
Well, that's
But
great.
here's the
That's the
point,
best
Brandon,
thing
is
to
you
provide.
changed the rules for
Not changing the
everybody.
rules.
You
We have
did.
a survey.
But
That'd be
if
great.
he had
Give us
a,
a
you
copy
said,
right on.
you just said you had a survey. Bracken, he said he had
He
a survey.
Yell at each other. That's not-
He claimed he had a survey, and if he had a survey, it should have had a house on it. If there was, am I incorrect, Mr. Solicitor? If the survey was truly given to this township, it would have had the house on it. Either survey was given, either that was a lie, there's a lie in there somewhere.
I don't know what
Thank
they talk about.
Yeah, this is
Any other
Carlotti.
public comment?
You
Charlene Scavati.
on that computer, that screen or whatever?
That thing of a jiggy that you plug in?
Whatever you call it.
Too technical here. Can I hear it? There's
It
nobody
looks
on there?
like they were trying to talk, but I don't hear it all.
Charlene
Someone on
Scavati.
that, is someone there?
Yes, Charlene Scavati.
How do you know if they're there?
Yes, I'm here. Hello? Hello? I'm here.
Mr. Burns?
Yes.
I have some comments if you want to do that.
Oh, yeah, yes, do your thing. I'm sorry. I thought we were done at the end.
I'm gonna text Jeff Bull.
I didn't catch it fast.
No, you can fill in during this tech gap.
Mike Manura, 2328 Cliff Drive. And, appreciate the opportunity to welcome you, gentlemen. And if some of my statements and questions are off base, I apologize.
I'm-
Kind of controlled living environment's kind of new to me, but I believe the township has a responsibility to cut overgrowth along the roads. That's, I guess, Russ charged that. I'm just concerned about, the HOA's been paying clear, we clear from Washington Road up through the Arrow Drive, because of the common area and everything, keep that pretty clear. But, we also maintain the entrances of Shawnee and down Canoe. But it seems like from Arrowhead Drive over to Nantucket Road, that needs some attention through there.
No, I got it.
Roadway.
It's been cut once. Finished up.
Especially that intersection out at the end of Nantucket Road. I mean, you gotta kind of look both ways and then kind of run to get out, if you can't see, that's kind of bad for the cross traffic. I don't know if we can do this, been mentioned before, but something needs to be done to control the speed up in Strabane Manor. And I understand that you can't change the speed limit, and it's 35 mile an hour. 35 mile an hour.
Jeff Boo said he's fixing it.
Well, okay, cuts to 25, but still, I mean, somebody mentioned putting a radar speed gun up there. We've got residents in there, people that come through that don't bother to stop at the stop signs. They're not gonna pay any attention to that radar gun. But, in some of those areas, there's no sidewalks, so we've got people walking on the road, on the streets. I don't know if it would help the possibility of having three-way stop signs at the intersections. I know it's speed bumps on because of snow plows. Can rumble strips be put in? There's one area, a curve right on Shawnee. There's been close calls. Matter of fact, Brandon Allen the other day almost met another car head on. It's on the wrong side coming down to there. It's really a bad situation. We'd just like to see something done, whether it's a serious injury or fatal accident up there. And
What intersection are you talking about? Which one?
After you
Canoe and Shawnee?
well, no, on up.
Up the cliff?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be nice to have them, try to get them slowed down, and maybe keep police presence up there a little more often. Because, some of the residents that are building this, because some of the people have ring cameras, so, they've seen even board member or two flying up through there running stop signs, and the kids are out playing. I mean, it's a bad situation.
Not us.
Yeah. I know, and this just come up a while back, there was a proposal when I first started coming to meetings about restricting parking in the cul-de-sacs. Like got tabled. And, that's something I think would be good. I think the board needs to address it. I think even the fire chief had stated that they were concerned about being able to turn their trucks. And then an area where it's good we've got fire prevention, the water sprinkler needs all the houses. But, if one of those units catch, if the houses stacked like that, they need to be able to get in there and they can work on that stuff. But,
Hello, can you hear me?
When we talk about fences, there's an easement that goes to a property, say for storm drain.
I know.
Maintain them. So do you have to get a variance to set a fence over the top of the easement, or they just have to move it if they have to get in there and get work done? Right, they'll be good. Okay, I wasn't sure just how that.
I think, is it sewer easement or water? What
What kind of an easement?
It states on that, it says water.
It's all the
storm drain,
utilities.
Utility.
You should be building on an easement at all.
Well, I don't know, according, that fence that they were talking about earlier is set right through it. There's a 10-foot here and 10 foot on each of those property. And it's set right across that easement. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments in-house?
Charlene Scavati.
Do something technical.
Hello.
She's very trying. All right, we have her try.
This is what she said, in case she talks too fast, so you have it to wait.
Chief, is she on there or anything?
Yeah, I'm on here.
Hey, you have been trying to talk.
I'm on here, but I, hello.
We'll try over a different one. It's not gonna be as loud though.
Sorry?
We're gonna try them on a different speaker, just won't be as loud.
Okay, can you hear me?
All right, we should hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Hello?
Hello?
Those want me to read it for? This is what she was gonna say.
But I can give it.
Yeah, given the fact that we can't hear from the individual, I can read it, you can read it.
I'll do it for you.
Go for it.
January,
Stand up, please.
for sure. January 23. I'm representing Charlene Scavot, I say the name.
Hello?
Come on. Oh, there you go. Hey, thank you, Charlene.
Okay, hold on, I gotta get my thing here. Okay. It says, I wanted to say that I have right to knows out partially being answered, extended for 30 days, ignored, and even going to the Office of Open Records. When most of the right to knows are documents that are file ready, and let's say should have been. Just a matter of emailing them to the requester. Only if something is not available as defined as denied because they do not exist. Only other explanation that these documents don't want to be given under other circumstances. Every citizen has a right to ask for documents that are being handled by the township manager or what has been approved by the Board of Supervisors or not approved. If we had a manager who you could trust, then the citizens, that is plural, would not be asking for so much information before he just leaves our township, leaving the residents and the new manager to clean up his mess. On weekends, Mr. Stanek has been at the municipal building alone and has been for years. Under the current situation of our township's financial issues, and Mr. Stanek has resigned and will be leaving, I, as a concerned resident, do not think this is appropriate. No one to see what he's doing for hours. With all these things we have been put through with the township and developers, no monetary or long-term decisions for our township should be made by Mr. Stanek starting today until he leaves. Under the municipal planning code, the township treasurer shall give bond with the surety company in an amount established by the Board of Supervisors for the faithful performance of the duties of the office in the equal amount to the highest amount of the township's funds estimated by the supervisors to be available to the township treasurer and filed with the Board of Auditors. Did we do that? And do we have this bond filed? Also, it states that the treasurer shall pay out all monies of the township only on the direction by the board. Is this why we are not forcing an audit? The residents need to insist that this audit be done for the taxpayers, the new manager, and assistant to start out right. Stanek has been robbing Peter to pay Paul for too long. He has allowed Meadows Landing to have a $10,000 deficit escrow for over a year and was paying KLH out of a negative escrow account. If KLH was not being paid with a negative developer's fee, then under the completeness report for approval, then it should not have been approved. As well as not having a recorded sewage easement when I have an email from Stanek telling Hal Kessler that it should be recorded. Just another reason among the 191 deficiencies from DEP. And here we are in court and paying a lawyer for something that should never have even been approved. Also, let it be known that Brandon Stanek lied to Mike Ianvino for our land use appeal, stating that we never told him about our water well, when in fact he has a letter from previous council about our concerns, as well as walking right beside it and pointed out to him on a visit to our home. Also, we have stated this numerous times in meetings. He's also lied about tow drains on Meadows Landing site, prior and current, when in fact I sent him the daily field report from ACA and the DEP cease and desist order and the compliance order were all sent to the township. Also, we have Kevin Cray stating in the minutes that they don't have to be on the plan just yet. I'd say someone lied. Stanek used Mike Iavino because he could, and he knew Mike knew nothing of Meadows Landing's previous site and our concerns. All of this for Meadows Landing, for what? Another round of plans that never come to fruition? Planning stated at their last meeting that Ryan Holmes took a walk. If this is true, why would you approve this plan? Hopefully we get a new manager and new board who will work for the residents instead of the developers. Also, did you hear from Hal Kessler yet, Brandon, about the large trees that fell and made large hanging limbs over our property. This is creating a dangerous situation. All of the stormwater basins aren't being attended to as required. They've never been maintained since 2018 as post-construction. This is a dangerous neglect of the township manager and board. 6 trees still in the creek from the basin outlet to our property. I'm sure the other basins have issues as well. The one by the wellness center should be looked at too. It is more important than you think. Where are we at with all of this, Brandon?
Thank you, Ms. Scavati. Are there other questions, comments? Seeing none, we will proceed with the purpose of our meeting tonight, and that is to review and discuss a potential ordinance which would formally establish a combination fire and emergency services department. To lead that discussion, I would ask the chief to present his findings.
So one of the things that we've been working towards is the formal establishment of an ordinance that actually identifies a fire department. Currently, there's no such thing within our township code. One of the reasons that this did become more time pressing is because there's financing, 2% financing through the Office of the State Fire Commissioner for the fire engine. We are not eligible for it unless we have something saying that we have a fire department. The second reason is also with the Office of the State Fire Commissioner. They recently released a grant program between $25,000 and $100,000 for fire departments that have to be recognized by the municipality. We are not eligible unless that happens. So the deadline for that grant period just opens, and it has to be submitted by the end of the month. Those are two of the reasons that we're talking about those now. What this ordinance would do would officially recognize a Department of Fire and Emergency Services. And very specifically, as part of this establishment of the department, it would mention the fact that it is made up of by career firefighters hired by South Strabane Township and volunteer firefighters through the South Strabane Township Fire Department Incorporated, which is the legal entity of our volunteer fire company. So it sets in stone essentially the fact that we have been a combination fire system for some time, and we're going to continue as such. So any questions I can answer?
Thank you very much. Questions from my colleagues? Comments?
It also helps in terms of workers' compensation situations too. We've done this at different municipalities. So we do that also for comp situations.
And what we're looking at now is solely the just establishment of the first paragraph of the ordinance, which recognizes the fire departments. In future months and future years, this would be the place that anything fire and emergency services related would live, all under one section of the code. So right now you can find some things about fire prevention in one spot, the burning ordinance in another spot. Anything related to fire and emergency services would be under that chapter.
Other questions or comments? Questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, Chief, would you move on to section 5, which is a review and discussion concerning medical billing for fire department incidents generated by non-residents?
Sure. A better way to look at this is accident billing. As everybody knows, I-70 and I-79 are an extreme burden to South Strabane Township. Recently, one of our fire apparatus was hit on that roadway, and we're responding to one of those highways, I'd say at least 5 to 10 times a week. Oftentimes, those calls require us to be there for 4 hours plus when we have a significant incident, when it includes hazmat. When that happens, I have to call in off-duty career and volunteer firefighters to come in and fill our station for other calls. And that costs the township some significant funding when you look at overtime. Another thing that we notice when we look at not only just the interstate accidents, but the accidents on Route 19, Berry Road, anywhere, very rarely are they actually township residents. So you all are putting the bill for these services that we have to provide. However, they're being provided to folks that don't necessarily pay those taxes. This ordinance would allow us to start to bill for accident response only to non-residents. So anyone who lives in South Strabane, who pays South Strabane taxes, would not get billed. So folks out of the area that cause a pile up on 70 where we're there for 6 hours, we'll get a bill after per the amount that's essentially we're allowed to bill. That is billed and paid through an insurance carrier, especially on an individual's basis. When you look at a commercial tractor trailer accident, those are far more significant and their company can pay them. So not a resident, but an individual that doesn't live in South Germain, that's a non-commercial use, may get a bill for $500 for fire services. That's to pay for the oil dry, the fuel to get there, all of those items that we use. However, that goes to their insurance company. When we look at a commercial tractor trailer, somebody's trapped and we're there for a long time, they may end up getting a bill for $5,000 or $6,000 for all of that, because we have multiple units, many hours, personnel hours on scene, plus we're paying people to cover our stations. So essentially what we're looking to do with this is ensure that people pay their fair share of their cost incidents within South Bend that we have to care.
Thank you, Chief. Further questions or comments from the boards?
It very explicitly mentions that it is only non-residents.
Questions or comments?
I was just gonna say, we do have that same type of voice throughout the different places. I think it's something we do have.
Yeah, I think we'll have to add a little bit.
Yeah, you have to tweak it. That's all I have.
Sorry, Judy.
I just had a question, Jordan, and I'm not against this. My concern would be that everybody around us would start doing it, and like, so if we were in another township, then we could get charged. And then my concern as a resident or as a non-commercial person is that, like, how would that affect, someone's car insurance costs, like, long-term? Like, that would be the only, I mean, I think it's a great idea, especially for the commercial stuff, because that's usually where the accidents are. Is there any way to, I know it's not always, yeah. I mean, is there any way to, just because, like I said, that's my concern.
So I can address those two.
Thank you.
Towards Germain Township, for example, is the north of us, bills as well.
Okay.
Several municipalities that surround us do bill for those services right
Okay.
now. Sometimes it's the municipality that bills, sometimes it's the fire department itself that bills. So that was part one. Part two is when you get into an accident now, your insurance company has an allotment essentially of what they'll pay for each type of service that they get billed for. There is a $500 allotment essentially for fire emergency services that respond. If you're not billing for it, you're not getting it. It is part of that claim when they file it anyway. So, I mean, theoretically, yeah, if somebody does cause an incident, and they're claiming it,
Right.
their rates likely would go up.
But you gave a good answer on it. It makes sense, yeah. Thank you.
Does that mean if you're just the one at fault, or like, say somebody T-bones me and I'm not at fault, do I still get those too?
So the way that we would be using a third party vendor for this, the largest in the country if they choose to go forward with that one. It's only the insurance company that's at fault.
Just curious.
Sure.
All right, just a random question. Since you're talking about 70 and 79, since those are state maintained roads, isn't there some state fund to compensate us back in return for that?
Nope. So on Monday, we had a press conference at our fire department with the Safety Highway Network, Pennsylvania State Police. One of the things that I asked for from state and federal lawmakers was the establishment of a fund for all the folks that are taking care of these roadways to be able to pay for some of these things, because you're right.
That's sweet.
But the answer is it doesn't exist now. He's calling for it. It's a good idea, but it doesn't exist.
So the fire department is in charge of like going to an accident, but the state police will show up?
Yeah, so if we're on anywhere that we're on an interstate, the state police will arrive and we work in tandem to try to do that.
And we're a majority of, sorry, I said, we're a majority of the 70, 79 interchange, right? We're like basically all of it.
We are.
Yeah, that's what I
We
thought.
house the majority of interstate within Washington County. And most, if you look at it, I think we had this conversation.
Yeah.
If you look at the materials that travel through South Germain on the interstates to go to various areas, it is unbelievable the amount of hazardous materials, the amount of money that's traveling through based on the equipment on these things. So we have a lot of risk that we have to be prepared for and respond to. And then when it does happen, it costs the township exponentially to be able to mitigate that.
There's a potential to have another East Palestine, Ohio.
Yeah, 100%. And we have train tracks that run through there too.
So how does the township get reimbursed for hazmat, oil soaks and?
Without this, we have nothing. So part of this would be, we could bill for the accident response, you could bill for the hazmat response. If we land a helicopter, it's essentially itemized, but they're set up via national standards of what those accepted mitigation rates are. So it's not, that we'd necessarily be sitting here picking up what the list or the measure would be. There's a national accepted standards that set those rates.
Other questions, sir?
So if this passes, could the board or something start petitioning the state to make some kind of general fund?
We are, even without this, we are actively trying to work with a number of people, the Office of the State Fire Commissioner, traffic safety folks. We're going to be reaching out to our local state reps that we need help on a local level because we're providing the services. I agree with you. It's going to be up to South Germain residents to provide blockers to us and things like that. So we've got to figure something out.
I say it's ridiculous.
Chief, if you'd want to draft a letter to the legislature on our behalf,
right,
I would discuss it with my colleagues and we could sign off and give you some support on that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Neil has a town hall meeting on Monday.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand what you're trying to do and I'm still processing it, but for the most part, it seems like it makes sense. But how much are you gonna spend to collect it if they don't pay? And you heard the old saying.
Well, this company that Brandon is dealing with, I think you said they're the #1 company and that's what they do for a living. So they know how to collect this money and I'm sure they have a very high collection rate.
They do have
They're dealing directly with an insurance company, not some truck driver from North Dakota, so.
I guess
Did you not say that Norster Bank and Peters uses them?
Peters does not, however,
Okay,
they
but
don't.
Norster Bank does?
Correct.
Did you find out from Norster Bank what they make off of it in a year's time? Do you have any idea?
It's somewhere around $15,000, but they don't go to the number of accidents on highways that we do. And I don't know that they bill on the level that we would be.
I get it. I
Yeah.
understand.
My goal is to make sure that we're recouping anything that we're spending on.
And that's fair.
To answer your question about that, so we can set, there will never be an expense from us to have them collect. So say that they go through the process, someone's not collecting it, they send it to a collecting agency. The amount that we would get reimbursed from that would go down based on their costs to collect it. However, if they didn't collect something, there is no cost to South Germain County. That's all on that.
Not even for providing the service, the billing and everything.
That's correct. Yeah,
So it's based on collections.
exactly.
That's good news.
Sure.
My other comment, and I understand, and it goes back to the issue that I brought up many times, and I won't bring it up tonight. But if we have mutual aid, if we're on a call, everybody's monitoring frequency. I mean, they know what you're 40, you're still 46, everybody's monitoring that. And they know that you're out of service and they're picking up is it really necessary to bring in additional people to the overtime when we have mutual aid? Especially when you have a department in the north of us, to the south of us.
You're still delaying that by about 7 minutes when I call a mutual aid for something. And that is the difference in a cardiac arrest. That is the difference when somebody is trapped inside of the vehicle.
It's standard procedure to backfill the public safety response when it's occupied. It would be negligent not to do it. I mean, consider that he's out on a call and he doesn't call for backup and, well, I'm not gonna use you, George's mother has a heart attack and suddenly they're not able to respond because they didn't call anybody in. That's not gonna go down very well with George or with anybody
Want
else.
one of the other departments respond?
7 minutes later.
7 minutes later, that 7 minutes is a life and death.
The family that came
Time
here
period.
and spoke to you all 3 months ago that had the infant son that had passed away. The reason that I arrived first in about 3 minutes from the dispatch was because I came in because our other crew was on call. It was at 2 a.m. I don't have to, I'm on salary, but we called people back in and we were able to arrive in 3 minutes. Their child was not real. That's why we called people back.
I'll tie that back in the previous conversation, that's all I'll say. Thank you very much.
Anything else for the chief? Seeing none, thank you, chief, for being proactive on this. We will be dealing with it at the next public meeting. And is there anything else to come before this board? Move to adjourn, please.
I'll make that motion.
Move.
I'll
Second,
second
please. Seconded. Stand adjourned. You said adjourned, whatever the hell. You know what I meant?